Welcome to the Arsenal show. We are live. We have got plenty to talk about. Most importantly, well, the subject of today is Arsenal's capitulation from the top four. What has happened? The January's come back to bite them in the backside, but we're going to look a little bit deeper into the deals that they were looking at. If any, if many, if enough is the real question. We're also going to take a look at another player who's been speaking again. Alexandre Lacazette is confirmed that he'll be off at the end of the season. We'll be looking at a couple of players that Arsenal linked to us as well, and just in general, Arsenal. I'm joined by Steve K. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, how you doing, Kieran? Good to be here, mate. Good to be here. It's he was just saying there, I just don't know what's happened, and the league table just popped up right in front of me, and it's just like 3 games ago we was favourites, and now we're not. Wheels have come off, and we'll be getting into why.
Yeah, the wheels have come off. However, when you look at it, Arsenal are only still 3 points behind Tottenham in that 4th spot. They do have a game in hand on them still. That game in hand is against Chelsea tomorrow. And Liverpool are currently playing Manchester United right now, who are just picked up above Arsenal. Arsenal got 2 games in hand on them, and they're only a point ahead. The Southampton game against Steve. We're gonna look at that first.
Do we have to?
Yeah. Painful it is to look back at. However, when you look at overall, the scores we gave the other day were pretty damning. But if someone was from the outside was to look at it, 23 shots on goal, 6 on target, 76% possession, 655 passes, 88% of those passes were accurate and to the player. Arsenal clearly dominated the game, but it's clear where their problem was, and they couldn't put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if those stats are a good thing or a bad thing. 99% of the time, obviously, it is a good thing to have those type of stats after a game. But looking at it, you could say that we had all that position, we had all those chances. But when you look back at the game, can you really think of us having a really dominant, spell of play? Or even if we did have a dominant spell of play, did you really see a time where you thought that that we were going to get a goal? You said there about the forward play, which was the main problem. They was very, very poor up front. I mean, the shots that were coming, we used the word in the post-match reaction, powder puff, and that's basically what it was. The shots that was coming in, it just wasn't trouble. Southampton, they never seemed troubled. We had players out of position, with Saka on the left and Martinelli on the right. That just didn't right, and we decided in the end that was the reason, because of that Tavares was playing left back. So, I was speaking to my dad today, and we were talking about the Southampton game, and when you put it, it's very easy to say we haven't got Tierney or we haven't got Thomas Partey, but because of those 2 players who are out, you have to put a young man called Lokonga in, who isn't ready. Yeah, he's trying his hardest and he did really well. You put in Tavares in as left back, he's not ready. Now, because he's not ready, you're having to switch Saka over to the left. So now what you're doing, you're starting to put in more problems for Arsenal, as if it's not as simple as you're just replacing a player with another and he's not as good. They're moving players out of position. You're moving Saka out of position. You're moving Martinelli out of position. And all of a sudden, from having 2 problems, you've got 4 problems. And yeah, it was a bit of a mess. It's one of them ones I just want to forget about and get on. I mean, we've got Chelsea Wednesday, and can we turn it around? I don't know. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, for me, it was just a bit of a horror show, mate.
Yeah, definitely a horror show. Jerome, Arsenal without Steve touched it before, Thomas Partey and Kieran Tierney. But Arsenal without Thomas Partey, the win ratio dropped from 65% to 25%. So it shows that it's not just that central striker that seems to be the issue, and a big miss with Thomas Partey in the centre of midfield.
Yeah, definitely. Like he just has such an impact on this team. And it's understandable as well, like watching the games, not just by looking at the stats, but watching the games as well. Like you can see the influence that Partey has. And you take him out of the midfield, it's a completely different midfield. And it's the players we've got at the moment, we haven't got any players that can replace Partey when he's not playing. So it's going to completely change the way you play. And I really don't know how we're going to handle it between now and the rest of the season.
Because he's out for the season now, isn't it? His season's done.
He's done.
Which you don't want to say, but it feels like it writes off Arsenal's season because that cohesion they're built in the middle, him and Xhaka, the connections that Partey had built up with Odegaard, and then so on from Odegaard's partnership with Saka and Lacazette. You move one out, it's a massive cog.
Because when you move Partey out, I think I think he's so good, Partey, that like that thing where you play with a better player, it makes the other players better. So example is Xhaka. When Xhaka plays with Partey, that raises his game. If Xhaka's playing next to Lokonga, then it's not. I think you're getting a worse Xhaka, to be honest.
He's doing a different job though, isn't he?
Yeah. Basically, the midfield without Partey is honestly weak. It's weak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big problem for Arsenal. Big problem going forward. Steve, one of the names that was popping about in the January transfer window was Arthur Melo of Juventus. A player that he was keeping tabs on throughout the January transfer window. How close were Arsenal to getting Melo?
I don't say things unless they're pretty 99 or 100%, going to happen. And I was, I would put money on this. This was done. And I think I actually said it was done, which I won't do that again. But it was done. It was just a matter of that Arsenal needed to pay £6 million. You've got a midfield player, an absolutely not world class, but he's up there, and £82 million he cost Barcelona. He was he can do everything in the middle of the park, and I think at the time he was being brought in because it was the other way around. It was actually Thomas Partey who wasn't doing it, and I think they was going to bring Melo in to sort of tighten it up. I mean, but Arsenal needed to pay £6 million. They needed to pay £6 million to get him. Arteta wanted him, and the hierarchy upstairs refused to pay it. And that goes to sort of what we were saying about, it's okay. Look, he's backed him in earlier on in the beginning of the season with this 150. I always said people were saying, "Oh, that's a lot of money," and I said, "Well, it's not a lot of money yet because he hasn't fixed the team. If he starts doing it, carries on in January, then goes in the summer, then it's backing him." Well, he obviously didn't back him, and it looks like what it's going to do is going to cost us Champions League. Who's to blame for that? For me, I don't think it's Arteta, because I don't think he's that stupid or silly enough to look at. I'm sure he can look at a squad and a football team to realise what he needs to go on and win the Champions League. It's like what Conte did. We spoke about. He's brought two players in. They're probably favourites to get to the Champions League spot. But Melo was done. He was done. He would have been the perfect, cog, to go into that midfield. Lokonga's not ready. He's not ready. I don't want the Congo to play every single game. I want him to be developed. And Arteta knows he's not ready, and that's why they wanted Melo. But it was done, but the hierarchy refused to pay 6 million. So how do you look at that? To me, it worries me for the summer again. That you've got these American owners who don't seem to see what people need. And I also was told that he went out to America, didn't he, to have a chat about things. And I told him that it didn't go very well. It was to do with Aubameyang and other things. But it was definitely down to the hierarchy that we didn't get Melo.
All right, big problems there. Then big problems there. Jerome, another player that Arsenal were looking at was Bruno Fernandes, who's now gone to Newcastle. He's doing well. Does it feel like Arsenal were ever really in for him if they let him? If Lyon were willing to actually let him go in the January transfer window, or do you think Arsenal just dropped the ball on that one?
Yeah, I think the player came out himself and said that. Well, I guess he's going to say anyway that it was his sort of preferred choice to go to Newcastle. Maybe they didn't put. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Obviously, Steve probably knows more about it than me. Maybe Arsenal just didn't. Either they didn't fancy the player, or they didn't have the money to, or get given the money to spend it on him. I don't know. Like I said, Steve would know more on that case than me.
Bruno Fernandes would have come to Arsenal. I know that for a fact. They wanted last season. They was in for him. They was in for him big time last season, and they wanted something like 70-80 million euro for him. And Arsenal turned around and said, no, we're not paying that. Which fair enough. I don't think he's a 70-80 million euro player, so I'll accept that. But this January, I think it was. I can't remember. Was it 35?
35 million went for in the end.
Was it? It was. Yeah. Oh, my memory must be doing all right. But 35 million euro he went for in the end. Newcastle have had him on the bench for the first 2 months he was there, and I know that Arteta wanted him. In the end, they decided to go to Melo because he would be the cheaper option. Because I was told that the hierarchy at Arsenal told Arteta that to go and get Melo and do a good deal. But when they came back with the fact that they wanted 6 million for a loan fee, they it's all about money. And 35 million, they was never going to pay 35 million in January for Bruno Fernandes.
Jerome, is there a worry for you that Arteta may not be getting back to when he needs to be in those crucial moments? Because we've seen recently with regards to the Glazers, small decisions being made, even on a timescale thing, is a problem with the American owners because they want to make that key decision. And times like this, we're talking about vital decisions at key points in the season, in the January transfer window. Surely you just got to have trust, full faith in the manager and your director of football to make these deals happen.
Yeah, you'd like to think so, especially with, I think what we're seeing now, what we're witnessing now with our team is that he's going to have to get backed, Arteta, and quite significantly. And if he doesn't get backed, then what we will find out next season is that we'll be in a similar situation to now if we get a couple of injuries, which is inevitable. So he has to get back. And if he doesn't get back, then next season will be a bit of a struggle. But these owners, unfortunately, or I don't know which way you look at it, but these aren't the owners like the ex-Chelsea owner or the Newcastle, where it's just going to be unlimited money. Like, they've obviously got limits, and that's why maybe nothing was spent in January because purely due to money. But really, as fans, what we want is just for the manager, whoever he wants, within reason, go and get. And if that's not going to happen, then we're going to obviously miss out on players, and the squad isn't going to be as strong as what we need it to be to succeed.
The small-minded fan will blame Arteta, but you know, they've got to come away from Arteta. Arteta doesn't run the football club. Arteta doesn't, you know, give the money out. You know, he just says, "I want to play. Will you give me money?" And they will say yes, or they will say no. But we've got owners who I don't feel they just don't understand football. Stan Kroenke certainly hasn't got a clue. I know people say that Josh knows a little bit more, but I'm sure he reads it out of a book, because when he speaks...
I'm sorry, but that interview that he did, when they was like, so what position did you like to play? He was like, I like to play left-sided upper right 90. I scored a few goals with my forehead, and I did a back heel once. Like, it was the most bait. I've never played football conversation ever. It was awful to watch.
But
he gave it a good try though.
He did. But what they don't feel that what I feel that they don't understand is that we're talking about money. Yeah. This is why I feel that they just don't care about the club. I genuinely feel that they don't care about the club. I know they've given 150. It wasn't enough. We need 300. Yeah. If it means it's going to be over 2 parts, great. You backed us, right? You didn't back us in January, right? You're going to lose us to Champions League. But what they don't understand now is that when we get to, I mean, it's unlikely we're going to finish fourth, very unlikely. But if you're the owners now, do they understand now that when it comes to the end of the summer, they're going to have to pay double the money if they want to bring one of these top pro players to the club? If it was 40 million in January, or 30, if like Guimaraes, for argument's sake, or any player, it doesn't matter, the 35 million. If you're in the if you're going for Champions League, right, that player, and you know, you will have to pay double for that player to get them to Arsenal, because you're not in the Champions League. If you want them to come, because they're not going to just come for the fact that you're Arsenal and you're not going to the Champions League. So if you want that type of player, you know, the agents or the club, they're going to say, well, you want, and you want 180 million. And if we want to go forward, they're going to have to pay it. Will they pay it? Will they? I don't think they will.
It's that, or get a lesser known player.
Yeah.
It's a situation which they've made of their own doing at the end of the day. They had an opportunity to strengthen the squad in January. They didn't do it. It was a big gamble. They said it was a big gamble, and now it's coming to fruition. It was clear that it was going to happen, at least in one of the positions. For me, that was midfield. We've got, although we are light up front with just Lacazette and Nketiah, there's different combinations that you could potentially play with a multitude of those players. And if anything, you can always stick a youngster up front. Yeah. When it comes to midfield, they need to be seasoned. It's a specialist. You can't just stick a youngster in midfield, no matter how good he is at under 23s, and think that he can come into and play men's football and just hit the ground running. Very rarely happens. I've only ever seen one, two. One was Cesc Fabregas. The other's Jude Bellingham, potentially, and probably Phil Foden. But even Phil Foden got nursed in.
Yeah.
Till he was like 20. So Cesc Fabregas is probably the only one I've seen that's come out of the youth team and gone into men's football. And and we're talking about generational talents there. We're not talking about just every run-of-the-mill player. So if a player does come in and slot into that midfield, then you've got a world beater. But that very rarely happens. Very rarely happens. Arsenal's squad is very light here. We've currently also, on top of the light squad we've got, which everyone knows pretty much every single person in this squad, because I think there's about 15, 16 players. Other than that, they're all under 23s. But we are going to be losing Eddie Nketiah. We're going to be losing Alexandre Lacazette. Mohamed El Nene in there. We're going to be losing Bernd Leno. So on top of that, we're going to be losing 3 or 4 additional players. Steve, how many players do you think Arsenal need to bring in the summer? And surely they're making the task a lot bigger, a lot harder by having to do it all in one sitting.
Well, as far as the first 11 goes, I think we probably only need one or two. The rest of them, I just think, are squad players. We need a centre forward. We've got Smith Rowe, and we can't not start putting Smith Rowe's on the bench and Odegaard's on the bench and players like that. So if you're looking at it from a first 11 point of view, you're probably thinking maybe one or two. Certainly a forward.
Mm-hmm. How many centre forwards do you think Arsenal need to bring in?
Well, I think you definitely need two, possibly even three. But the other two that you bring in are obviously going to be teams that are going to cut players that are going to come and going to be willing to fight for their place, because they're not going to get inside. I mean, we're not Liverpool where you can go and buy Diego Jota, and he can sit on the bench and he'll wait for his chance. If you come into Arsenal, they're going to want to play, but the rest of them are just going to be probably players very similar to the type of players that we bought in the summer on the Tommy Ashews and that type of player, and players like that. But looking at it, obviously, as I said, maybe one or two first teamers. Then looking at it from a squad point of view, that's certainly definitely a midfielder, and then you're going to look at definitely a left back on the same par as Kieran Tierney. I think I've come to the conclusion that's what we've got to do. I'd look at how much of the seasons, his games, his missed since he's come, and it's too many. It is miles. So does that mean
you're moving to Kieran Tierney on then?
I mean,
because you'll have to move Tavares or Tierney on if you're going to bring in a player as good as Tierney. If Tierney's going to carry on with his trait, move him on. Okay. You got to okay. for the good of Arsenal, then we can't keep continuing with him being out. I mean, I'd look at some of these games. It was like 10 games, 6 games, 8 games, 4 games, and it was like, no, come on. This is, you can't have your main left back on that doing that, and Tavares isn't ready. So I feel we definitely need a left back. So left back, possibly a centre back. I feel we're okay. Midfielder, so that's 1, 2. We've got a goalkeeper. We've got the American, a forward, 2 forwards, 4 players. Yeah, and maybe a right-sided player to sort of give Saka some competition. So I'd say we need 5. 5 players.
But one other thing, mate. I don't know if you've heard today. I mean, do you know that Eddie Nketiah was offered a new contract this season to stay?
Yeah, I think Mikel Arteta came out and said, didn't he? We've been speaking to Eddie about, and we want him to stay. I don't understand it. I can only think that he wants one of the players to stay in Lacazette or Eddie Nketiah as a transitional striker. That's the only thing I can think. But Jerome, what do you think is the thinking behind potentially offering? Well, both, because Lacazette and Nketiah have both been offered contracts. What do you think the thinking behind offering their contracts is?
I think the thinking behind it is
worrying.
Well, is like it's someone's judgment is very questionable. Like that's worrying to offer those players new contracts, because they're the exact players that are playing now, and they're obviously not good enough. And when it comes to like how many players do we need? Say you were going to say we need a first choice striker and a first choice maybe centre midfielder, but I think the trouble is if you only try and say buy 2 first teamers and then the rest squad players, we're going to be in the same position again. Like I know it's made, like Steve made a really good point. Like we're not like Liverpool that can just go out and spend 30 million on a player that like sits on the bench, but unfortunately to compete, that's what's going to have to happen, because if you just have a strong starting 11, and then a few squad players, all those squad players are gonna start playing. That's why we signed probably El Nene as like a good squad player. But these squad players, if their level is far off from what the starting 11 is, then it's going to be a problem. You need to try and find squad players that are at a really high quality. If you just sign a squad player that can just do a job, then you're going to sign someone. I know Steve likes him, so it's not a great example, but someone like a Cedric, like he's all right. He can do a job, but he can't do a job for a top 4 team. Or job
that's can't take a free kick. I tell you that now.
And if you then incorporate a few of those squad players are all at the same time in the starting 11, your quality's going way down.
Yeah, I see your point. So what do Arsenal have to do? They're in a situation where if they do get into Europe, touch wood, God forbid if we don't. I don't know what I'd do myself, let alone every other Arsenal fan. But what do Arsenal have to do?
I think they need to target 5 or 6 players that they feel are good enough to be in the
serious
starting
competition.
11. I think that's what they need to do. I think if they go with the mindset, let's find 2 first teamers and a few squad players, I think that's the wrong mindset. And I know it's like easier said than done, but I think they've tried.
That's part of Edu's sell. Like that's got to be part of Edu and Arteta. To be fair to them, that's got to be part of their sell. Is you're here to win trophies as a team, as a squad, and we need a big squad to do that. Is it a case in your mind that which would you look for? Do you look for players in the age bracket of around their mid-20s? Do you look for the younger players? Do you look for a player that sort of come into the late 20s, early 30s? What's your thoughts on the type of players that you do bring in of these 5?
Yeah, I'm not too. I don't really like talking about ages that much, but because I don't think it really matters unless it's players that are like near the end of their career. Mm-hmm. I think it's more about the quality, to be honest, because I don't think you can keep buying players that are going to be for the future, because you can fall behind, and there's no promise that these youngsters that you sign with potential are going to turn out what you want. I think as long as you're not signing players that are like, the wrong side of 30, I think you just got to go for quality. And if that means that's a 20-year-old, if that means it's a 25-year-old or 26-year-old, I don't think it really matters, to be honest.
Yeah. I agree. I think we said it the other day. I said if you look at all the top teams, I think Arsenal are the only team in the top 6 that doesn't have a backup in every position, which is not even like for like. It's not even close. Like, we've got a few. Don't get me wrong. Leno as a backup for Ramsdale is probably one of the best you're going to get in the league.
I think so. I would agree with that.
But then, even our defence, I don't mind Rob Holding, but Rob Holding's not got. There's only one Rob Holding, and there's no one else. We've got Rob Holding, and we're going to the youth again. At right back, we've seen the difference in Tomiyasu and Cedric, and it's not necessarily for me. It's not necessarily for the 1 game, 2 games. It's when they've got to start playing 5, 6 games, you start to realise the limitations they have and why they are the backup. And I think that's what you're seeing. Cedric has done all right for the time that he's been in. He's had a few very good games, but now we're starting to see Cedric more than often, and now I'm seeing him on free kicks, which is starting to make me not like him. But I don't mind him as a player. And then you start going all around the other positions in the team, and there's just the gulf in quality to the first team player is massive, and to some it's non-existent. And that's where Arsenal need to get back up to. Arsenal need to start bringing those players, whether the players, a youngster that's sitting behind that player that's got some considerable talent and is ready to play in the first team, is ready to play men's football, or they're a seasoned professional and they've had plenty of experience in other leagues or in other competitions, then so be it. But they definitely need to do something because it's a big window for us. One player that's definitely leaving, and he's made it clear. Arsenal striker Alexandre Lacazette has upset fans across social media by claiming he misses playing in the Champions League and is in talks with plenty of other sides. This is a man who scored 4 goals this season. He's behind Emil Smith-Rowe, Saka, Martin Odegaard, and Gabriel Martinelli in the pecking order, who currently have 9, 9, 6, 5, and then Lacazette with 4. Steve, Alexandre Lacazette is. He says
is that right? Is that right?
He says he misses playing in the Champions League and is speaking to plenty of other clubs about moving in the summer.
Yeah, what are you going to go and play for Lojek Warsaw or something, the Polish champions and something, and then he can get in the Champions League that way or something? Well, he's lucky then. He's lucky, isn't he? He's lucky because he could probably do something like that. You know, I think he's out of order because, you know, I didn't even know that. But, you know, we can't do that. We can't just pick ourselves up and go, we go and support another team in the Champions League. So he should keep his mouth shut, or because he certainly ain't really performing himself. So I don't know who would buy him at the minute. But yeah, I mean, he's been awful the last 4 games, and he's one of the main reasons why we haven't been winning football matches. And he's just gone now. Gone. I mean, I don't know who would buy him. Who would buy him? Who does he think? I don't know who he think he'd go to.
There's plenty of takers out there. There's plenty that Simeone likes his work rate. Leon were looking at him, talking about taking him back. Right. There's clubs that will take Alexandre Lacazette on a free. He'd come in and do a job. And
yeah, but wages, he'd have to take a massive drop in wages. I'm telling you that because I can't see no one paying 180 grand a week for him at his age. And you're saying we've offered him contracts, and like it's just an absolute. It's ridiculous that. I mean, where have we come from? That, you know, the Arsenal we know. I mean, we was always known for the top strikers going from back from John Radford to Alan Smith to, you know, Thierry Henry to Van Persie. You know, even like Alexis Sanchez and even Oliver Giroud. People used to say,
Steve, they said Giroud was
rubbish. Here comes Oliver Giroud gets in the French team.
He's one.
What?
They said. I remember when people were saying, "How does Alexandre Lacazette not get in the French team over
exactly?
Giroud?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Do you watch him? Do you not watch Giroud?"
Yeah.
Like, okay, yes, he can. He had his odd miss, yeah, but he was class. And Giroud, since then, has won the Europa League, the Champions League, a World Cup.
Yeah.
Like what? A European, a World Club Cup. He's won so much since he's left Arsenal. Yet this guy was rubbish, and it's been the focal point of those teams as well in winning it as well. And he's currently sitting top of the Serie A with AC Milan.
Yeah,
yet this
you see all the Arsenal fans who were saying things like, it's like that emoji. They'd be going like that. Can't work it out. Can't work that one out. But I mean, both of you. Who would buy him in the Premiership? This is my question, right? What team would he get in? I mean, I think Pukki would get in front of him, wouldn't he? You got Pukki and Lacazette.
The thing is with Pukki, he likes to get in the box, and Lacazette doesn't like to get in the box anymore. He doesn't like to get in the box. He's scared to miss. The Arsenal fans have put the shitters up him. He doesn't want to miss. Yeah. I mean, I can't think. I mean, who Burnley got up front for them? I can't think. But no, look. Thank you very much. Weghorst scored 2 goals since January.
Yeah, Chris Woods. You know, but anyway. Look, he can't. He's not an Arsenal striker anymore. He can't do it. He ain't really done it since he's come here. And I'll just please, you know, make it not true that, you know, they've offered him a new contract or they've said to him, you know, to stay, because if that is the fact, like Jerome said, if that is true, then serious questions have got to be asked of someone. Now, if someone gets asked to stay at a club or sign a new contract, that's the manager. And I would have to have a look at him and think, what, really? If we start the new seasons, we've still got either one of them, it's got to be questioned. You've got to be questioned. But Lacazette, no, his time's up. Thank you very much. You had a couple of good seasons with your mate Pierre, and that was about it. And yeah, not good riddance, but good luck playing for up front with our friend Luca Maidstone. That's what I think we should do.
Jerome, Lacazette taking the mick. Well within his rights to talk right now. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, we're quite good at picking captains, aren't we? I mean, we know what a captain looks like, and the right things to say, what a captain should say and do. Like, to be honest, it's not stuff that he hasn't said anything that's like surprising. Like, obviously he's talking with other clubs. Obviously he'd like to play in the Champions League, but there's like a time and a place, and it's a bit crappy for this to come out when he's the captain of the club. Firstly, so that's bad enough. But the period that we're in at the moment, maybe that's one of the reasons why he didn't play, and not only to do with COVID. Maybe Arteta knew this interview was coming out and thought, "What? Why are you talking about this now? Like, you don't need to do an interview."
Good point. Yeah.
Like, it's not as if you're selling your story to the papers. You're like a pauper and you need like 50 grand to like help with your life. Like, you don't really need to do interviews. You're not in that type of industry.
Yeah, it's one
where
when
you
they go back to France, though, isn't it? As soon as Canal Plus gets in front of them, they seem to open up.
Yeah,
seem to open up.
So look, honestly, he hasn't said anything new, but he shouldn't. There's no need to do it, to be honest. And it's just another infuriating thing. Like, the captain of the club. I don't know what qualifications. Basically, there's no qualifications to be a captain of Arsenal. It's just whoever. Like, you don't need to be a certain character. You don't need to have a certain skill set. It's just like the amount the captains. I mean, the captains we've had over the years that aren't captains. It's just unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
And what can I say? What can I say with Lacazette? Yeah, like Steve said, no ill feelings or ill wishes, but good, good luck with your next club. And I got no idea. I think it'll have to be. I can't see it being another English club. It'll have to be probably in France.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah. He also came out and said that he didn't like Aubameyang before he joined Arsenal, but they are now friends. He didn't like Aubameyang before they joined Arsenal, but he said, "You don't know, you know Aubameyang, you don't know Pierre-Emerick." Yes, speak a bit of poetry towards the end as well.
Yeah.
Steve, do you see Lacazette getting dropped? Do you think that Lacazette would have got dropped this Saturday if he was not sick?
Well, I would have dropped him, but I can't say 100% that he would have got dropped. And would he have dropped him for Eddie Nketiah? No, I think he would have played. Looking at the way the team was set up, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, we missed Black.
Would have started. Yeah. I mean, we're trying to challenge top four, and we're talking about, Lacazette, who's, we're saying he's lost it, and we're bringing him on for someone else who's lost it, and both of them are being offered new contracts. Now, what's going on here? Nunez was something that Arsenal were interested in. They'd even had talks with him. They was chatting to him. That was true. That was happening. Agent came out and said so. And now, 3 games later, it looks like Nunez is on his way to Dortmund. And there was another player, wasn't there, recently, who looked like he was coming for us.
So how do we get into the position where it feels like there's some serious business we can do? We're talking like West Ham wanted Nunez in January, and I think it was only the fee between the clubs that was the major issue. West Ham didn't want to push out too much money in January, and we'll probably maybe looking to get him in the summer. But it doesn't feel like Arsenal are getting to those stages. Yeah, we're having a little chat with the agent. The player shows interest. But when it comes to dealing with the clubs, Arsenal aren't moving quick enough. Like, how is it that West Ham are in a situation in January where they're looking at Núñez? Not like the deal was close, but it looked like they were on the right track. Arsenal went for Vlahovic. The deal didn't happen. Why did Arsenal not make that move for Núñez in January and really push to see if Benfica could withhold the pressure?
Well, it obviously Arsenal were never going to pay any decent money for anybody in January, it seemed. But then again, unless it was a major striker, that was the only thing they was going to pay good money for. And obviously there was the Vlahovic thing. I've been told like conspiracy theories that Arsenal, that was never going to happen. They was only pushing for Vlahovic for, to make it look good for the fans, because at the end of the day, they never had 70 million euros for Vlahovic, because when Isaac came up, they needed to break the release clause and they never. So how desperate was there for a forward? Was it all show? You did have a little bit of a mixed opinions coming across from Fiorentina, where some were saying, "Oh yeah, they've had talks," and then you had someone saying, with the agent saying, "We only had talks with Arsenal. What's going on?" You had the director of Fiorentina saying, "Yeah, we have." And so what was true, I don't know, but in the end, we didn't get nobody. And you asked your question about West Ham, that they show ambition. At least they're showing some ambition. We don't show no ambition. If we showed any type of ambition to get through to the Champions League or anything, like we would have bought Vlahovic, or if they was available. I don't think he ever was going to come to Arsenal in the end. He wanted to play in the Champions League. He wanted to play for Juventus from we knew that, didn't we? From before he was even mentioned with Arsenal that he was.
But we're talking about not even 3 months later, that player who you say that Arsenal were only going to buy a really big name if they were going to get someone in January. But we're talking about potentially 3 months later, that player who we didn't go for, we're now looking at, is now the big name player in the window because Vlahovic is gone. So there's something fundamentally wrong with the process.
Yes.
Is it eggs all in one basket? Are they sticking their hands in multiple pies? What's going on? What's going on? It seems like we're just not getting the things done that we need to get done.
There's glaring things that hit us right in the face every single time as fans. We know we need that player. We know that if we don't get this certain person coming in January, but it means that if we get an injury, we won't get the Champions League. We knew it would happen. Yeah, we're fans. We can see it. Okay, we're fans who know our stuff. We know big Arsenal supporters. We know football. Fine. But you hope that the people who are running the club, you'd hope the manager would be on the same brain level as us. We know they ain't, because the Cronkies and Americans, they just don't know, right? I feel they're just trying to fool us. I just feel there's some kind of conspiracy thing that they do to say, "Oh, come on, let's put a few things out in the press." It just seems that we're never had any intentions. Arsenal are not going to pay £80 million for Núñez. Never a million. No way will they pay 80 million for Núñez.
But how much are Dortmund getting him for?
Well, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see, wouldn't it?
Because I don't think that's what I mean. I don't think this is the problem, Steve. This is the problem.
Yeah.
Why is it again? Why is it always again? Yeah, it's like so and so 80 million. Arsenal got to pay 80 million. They want this player. They want this player. Blah blah blah. So and so's not listening to him. So and so's not picking up the phone next to you.
Because they know we're desperate.
He's going to Dortmund for 55 mil. How is that? How is that a thing?
Because they know we're desperate. They know. Look at going back a couple of years with Thomas Lemar. You'll see the trait as it goes on. 90 million. What?
That's crazy. That's crazy money.
It seems to me like there's stories that we were never going to buy Lemar for 90 million. So it makes me think, well, was we ever going to buy Vlahovic? Was we ever going to get Núñez for 80 million? We could go on and on and on with Guimaraes. Was we ever going to get him for 35 in January? We wasn't even going to pay £6 million loan fee for Arthur, so we could go into our midfield. when are you going to get to the fee where we're going to say to ourselves, that's what we was going to spend? I don't think we was ever going to spend nothing in January. Absolutely nothing. I think it was the intention all day long. Look, Arsenal Football Club, right? How many times every single transfer window they do it? It's not just the odd transfer window, right? You've got 2 transfer windows a season, right? You're guaranteed one out of those 2 every single season, right? We will do absolutely nothing. We might buy Dennis Suarez, or we might get a couple of loan players, and we might have a half-decent summer. But we will never have 2 decent windows where we need to sort of say, right, Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, White, Odegaard, we're on the move.
Down.
Right, now let's go to the January. Boom. Oh, no, we stopped. That's our one window where we don't do nothing. And it happens every season. So I think you say, like, what's going on upstairs. I think we're like a one-season transfer window club, and that's not gonna get us anywhere. That's not going to get us to top 4, because you're looking at teams like Liverpool and Man City and Tottenham. Every window they will buy that odd 1 or 2 players, whether they need them or not.
Yeah, and I think the thing is as well is your opportunity to get one over your nearest rivals if they don't. If they don't bring anyone in, it's an opportunity for you to bring someone in. If Arsenal didn't bring anyone, Tottenham did, and look at the position they're currently in now. And if Arsenal were to approach someone in, potentially they would have closed that gap or widened the gap between Man United and West Ham at least. But it's all in hindsight at the moment. Jerome Stevens got a question here. He says, Arteta said in an interview that we need to take advantage of every transfer window, and then in January never signed anyone. What the hell? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, very, very true. I mean, we saw those images, didn't we, of Arteta with Kroenke in America in January. So, you know, maybe they had a chat about things then, and maybe Arteta did want to strengthen, and maybe he wasn't allowed to. Maybe he didn't get given the green light to go ahead and do what he wanted to do. But yeah, you got to take advantage of these transfer windows. You have to, and hopefully it's maybe a lesson learned that from now on they will make signings even in January. I don't like this thing where people say January is a hard. Maybe it is a bit more difficult than the summer, but there's loads of examples of players moving clubs in January. There's loads.
Look, Newcastle are in a situation where if they didn't buy in January, they were going down. They've now bought in January. They've been one of the best formed teams in the country since then.
They might finish above us.
Like it's crazy the turnaround that Newcastle have had since the January transfer window. They were sitting in the relegation zone near bottom, couldn't buy a win, couldn't buy a goal, conceding left, right, and centre. And they've since then now moved up to mid-table nearly.
And you know what we're saying as well? Like we're all probably saying the same thing. We're not saying in January go out and sign 8 players, but maybe one or two, just to strengthen a little bit. It's a game with only 11 players at once. So if you buy that one extra good player, that can have a big impact. Like, we're not saying go out and go crazy and change your whole squad around, but strengthen a little bit. There must be one player you could sign that's going to improve the team. There must be one.
Yeah. One player that you're potentially looking at in the summer, bring that forward. I think Man United did that with Bruno Fernandes and a few seasons ago, and he absolutely obliterated their season and pushed them up into to second in the league.
They're getting obliterated now.
Is it 3-0, 2-0 still?
2-0.
All right. Let's get on to the Chelsea preview. It's crazy that tomorrow's game is potentially a must-win game. Chelsea away from home. I mean, it's always a tough game, but Thomas Tuchel is a manager, very, very good manager. Tactically, he's a motivator. He seems to have it all. And since he's gone Chelsea, I think it is, something ridiculous like seven finals in 2 seasons or something ridiculous like that. That is frightening. And and he's yeah, and we've got them tomorrow. So, Steve, thoughts on the Chelsea game tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean it's our biggest game of the season, bar none. It's the biggest game that it's the biggest game we'll play. It's our game in hand. If we lose it, then I think that's it. So if we win it, then unbelievably, we'll probably be, possibly joint favourites to get into the Champions League with Tottenham, and then it obviously could all go down to that game against them. But I mean, I watched Chelsea the other night, and they should have beat. Oh, they did. No, they did beat, didn't they? They did beat them. They beat them 3-2. They just went out. I mean, they were fantastic. They were very good in the weekend against Crystal Palace, and they've been good all season. To be fair to them, they've got a great squad. They've got a great bench to be. They're at home, innit? We're away, and I just can't. It's very similar to the game tonight. With Man United and Liverpool, it's one of them ones where you're just really worried that you don't get an absolute spanking. Because looking at the last 3 games, I can't. Normally you find you can grab on something. You think, yeah, he's doing this at the moment. He's doing that. And I can't pick out really even our top players like Martinelli and Salah and Odegaard. Salah. Oh, Saka, yeah. And
Salah, you wish.
Yeah.
Not the youngster we've got.
Yeah. They're not doing it. They're off form. Got 2 of our best players out. We're disjointed. We're going to Stamford Bridge to try and win a game. I just I said to my dad today, I said, just sit down and watch it. So just look at it as a football match and just wait and see what happens. But to be seriously, it's massive. It is enormous for our, Champions League chances. If we win it, great. I can't see it. For me, Chelsea are just too good in every department. I think like when we start at the moment, it's like we start with 10 men because of like the disjointedness, the missing of a couple of players. When you combine that all into one, I think you're looking at like Arsenal going out there with 10 men against Chelsea, and I can't see us coming away with anything.
All right. Jerome Stevens says the biggest game of our season. Our team is held together with bubblegum, paper clips, and sticky back plastic. It's not good looking good, fellas. You can't be thinking. Jerome, what's your thoughts on tomorrow's game against Chelsea?
There's an expression, isn't there, called like in terms of football, they say it's a funny old game. And
I need to be in hysterics tomorrow.
And I'll tell you why I say that. Everything is so stacked against us when you look at the teams that would be like the teams on paper, the injuries, the fact that Chelsea seem to be playing quite well at the moment. Everything is against us. We're in a horrific run of form. We got both our strikers doing interviews recently talking about things that they should probably keep in house. And sometimes these are the occasions when you get a surprising result. And like my great uncle used to say, like, you can't bet on football. And maybe this is one of those occasions, because if you think with your head in this game, there's no way Arsenal get anything from this game. No chance. But sometimes you get upsets, and that's the sort of hope that I'm clinging to.
Okay, I wish you didn't give this speech, Jerome, because you turned it around for me. I'm like, I'll tell you what, mate.
Come on!
We can do this tomorrow. we can do this tomorrow.
Why have we got blue on? Go and change your shirt.
Yes.
We like that's sort of the hope that I'm sort of clinging to. So there's nothing really much else to cling to. I can't see us beating them in any particular department. It's just the fact that you get upsets in football. Like, it happens sometimes. Football doesn't always go to form. And I think what's important is that, like, our record after conceding first is horrific. Like they've got to just keep it tight. And I probably like most, like you boys as well. Like, I don't care about the performance at all. It could be the ugliest horriblest performance you've seen, like
Mhm.
misplaced passes, hardly any possession, but just stay in the game. Just stay in the game and see what happens. Like you just don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what Arsenal were doing previously. If you look at the games against Man City, against Liverpool, we put up really good performances against them. Not just hung in there, but we actually played really well. And then the times where we did have to try and hang in there, we were doing that. As you said there, our record of coming back once we've conceded first has been atrocious of late. However, we do look to the Wolves game and think we went 1-0 down there. We managed to put it back and win the game. So there are those things that have happened during the season which can lead you to believe that Arsenal are turning the corner and we're seeing good things. And it's only because we've seen these 3 games against 3 teams that, okay, if we would have come out of this with 3 draws, we would have been fuming. If we would have come out of this with 2 draws, 2 wins and a draw, we probably would have been happy. Because if we look at the actual teams, there, Southampton are a team we should be beating twice every season. Brighton are a team that are always going to cause you a bit of trouble, but you should be beaten twice. But it's that Crystal Palace game that is always a worry for me because it's a derby. It's just a tough ground to go to. So in hindsight, a draw would have been nice. But in our heads, our season's completely unraveled and hit the burners because of the manner we've gone down in these 3 games. In 3 games, we should be getting points again. If we look at the previous games this season, the big games, we've actually done all right in them. So there is hope. There is hope, but that hope is needs to be backed by the fact that every single player tomorrow needs to be playing a 10. Because we're not going to get away with anything. The lack of Thomas Partey in that middle is a massive miss. The Kieran Tierney, it's a big miss, but I think that could be left back's a left back, and unless you've got a Trent, a Reece James, like a world beater, unless you've got one of them that where they're adding goals in your team. I mean, like actually scoring goals as well as assisting goals. A left back's a left back. Like they're by the by. As long as you've got a player that can get up that wing, get up and down, and keep it tight when he needs to, you've got a player that can stand in and do a job. I just pray that Cedric's got his crossing boots on tomorrow. And he's not taking free kicks because if I see him lining up next to a free kick, but I think it boils down to us again and our recruitment because what that clearly says to me is we've not got enough right-footed players who can take free kicks. All our players are left-footed. Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, Xhaka, they're all these free kick takers bar Lacazette. Are right-footed, and Lacazette is too scared to shoot at the moment, and has been for the whole season. Even last season, he was scared to shoot, and he's the same this season. So I think it's more down to lack of options as to the reason why Cedric is taking those free kicks. But I'd rather he just didn't take them. I'd rather someone with a left foot took it and whipped it in because it's just not working. So it's a big game for Arsenal tomorrow. I don't think if they lose it, that it's the end of the world. But I do think that of the 4 games we've got against Man United, Chelsea, West Ham and Tottenham, Arsenal have to win 2 of those and potentially only lose one of them. And the only one they can lose is against Chelsea, in my eyes. They can't lose against West Ham, they can't lose against Man United, and they can't lose against Tottenham. And ideally, they need to beat Tottenham and Man United to get that top 4.
We just have to remember, look at what Brentford did to Chelsea. They went out there and won 4-1. So that's Stamford Bridge. So
and look at what Brighton did. Look at what Brighton did to Tottenham. Arsenal can beat Man United. Man United is there for the taking. They've not been good this season. They've really not been good this season. And West Ham, they've been very good this season. However, it's West Ham, and Arsenal need to beat West Ham. Like this is again, we've done it earlier in the season. We've done it against Wolves. We've done it against Villa. Those games where people question and say, this is a tough tie for Arsenal. It's not going to be easy. This is a team that was looking to get into Europe. Those are the games we've won. And then we need to turn around and start getting back that form and having that self-belief again. So, yeah, it's not over. Tottenham. When Tottenham are involved, it's never over. That's all we need to know. Paul Merson was right. They've got Spursiness about them. They're Spurs. So as long as if Arsenal were to keep on pushing this and getting 3 points or getting points on the board, I guarantee that Tottenham would slip up at one point. So yeah, it's not over, people. It's not over. All right, that is all we have time for, though. Make sure you join us at 10 o'clock, straight after the game tomorrow, when we sing joyously over the victory that has pushed us back into the race for top 4. You heard it here first. Jerome has given me hope. Thank you for joining us tonight, Stephen. Top man in the comment section. Appreciate your support there. If you are joining us on any other platform, press that like and subscribe button. If you are joining us for the first time on KS1 TV and the Arsenal Show, make sure you press that subscribe button. Steve, thanks for joining us tonight, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
And Jerome, thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
quickly before we leave, Steve, give us the score prediction for tomorrow's game.
I can't. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We need to do it. We're gonna. No, we're not. We're not gonna do it, are we? I got to change it. I can't. Score prediction. Heart, head, heart, brain. Heart, brain. This game. I don't know. No. I think we'll lose 2-0.
Jerome.
Oh God. I think we could lose 3-0, to be honest.
Jerome, do you want to come out with a heartfelt battle war cry there?
This is called reverse psychology.
What the hell? How did you come out of that war cry like it's my uncle told me. It's not over to the fat lady sings. It's just a funny game of football, and you never know. You never know. Don't count the chickens on one hand. Like what?
Yeah,
and then you tell me this.
Have you got to put the curse of Frank Lampard on them? The curse of Frank Lampard.
I was going to predict 5-0 to Chelsea before that speaks. That speaks taking 2 goals off. That's all.
I think that Real Madrid game might have taken a lot out of them, though. You never know. That could have taken a lot out of them.
Yeah. What's the score this weekend?
Steve, have you heard of another expression called clutching at straws?
No. What's the score this weekend? They not played this weekend.
They played Crystal Palace.
They beat Crystal Palace. That's a tough game.
But they lost against Brentford and they lost against Burnley.
Yeah, but that was before Real Madrid.
Yeah. But they might get above their station.
They drew against Burnley. It was 1-0.
See, they ain't out the woods. See, if Tottenham and Arsenal win their games and we beat Chelsea and Tottenham win, and then we're right up the arse of Chelsea. So they're it's not like they can go in with like a clear mind.
Chelsea are not looking down. Chelsea are not looking down. They're currently what? They've got 2 games in hand on Tottenham. And they're sitting 5 points above them.
Yeah,
they're not worried. They're not worried.
No.
All right. So Jerome's given a 3-0 victory to Chelsea. Steve said a 2-0 victory to Chelsea. Welcome to the Arsenal Show, people. Thank you for joining us tonight. Peace out. Stay safe.
Oi!
What?
Is that 2-0 to Arsenal?
I'm the host.